This farm is growing hundreds of acres of lush green grass in the middle of the desert. Most of it will end up in the Las Vegas Valley. And that turf is thirsty. It's likely grass uses more water than any other crop in the US. So after decades of mega drought, Nevada is the first state to ban lawns. Now, water cops are on the hunt for anyone wasting water on so-called useless grass.
It's just aesthetic. It doesn't serve any kind of functional purpose other than for looks.
And it's a problem all over America. We dump about a third of the water we use at home onto our lawns. But at what cost? And can Nevada show us how to live without them?
Water Waste Investigator 8776. Today is Monday, January 23rd, 2023.
Water patrollers often start making their rounds before dawn. Cameron Donnarumma is on the lookout for violations like faulty sprinklers or water runoffs like this.
Once it's out on the street, it's gone forever. Even if it hits the storm drain, it evaporates.
He issues just a warning at first. After that, fines can go up to over $5,000. Residents can only water their yard on assigned days each season. That means just one day a week in the winter. All this enforcement seems to be working.
We're actually using 26% less water than we were 20 years ago.
But that's just a drop in the ocean when it comes to the region's larger water crisis. Vegas is seeing record population growth, and more people means more thirsty lawns. That's why Nevada is the first state to introduce a law banning what's known as useless grass, like these areas between the sidewalk and street. New turf is still allowed in schools, parks, and cemeteries, but more on that later. The issue here isn't really the turf, it's this. Lake Mead became the largest reservoir in the US after the Hoover Dam was built in 1935.
After viewing the dam itself, the sightseer invariably visits Lake Mead, an especially inviting feature in the middle of the desert.
But since the lake's peak in 1983, its water level has fallen 180 feet. That's roughly the height of the Leaning Tower of Pisa. It's fed by a shrinking Colorado River, which supplies 90% of southern Nevada's water. A deal struck in 1922 divided up the river's water among 7 states. Nevada was given just 1.8%. But back then, river levels were higher and cities were smaller. Clark County, which includes Vegas, had a population of only around 5,000 at the time. Today, it's well over 2 million. To keep supplying enough water for its residents, the local water authority estimates the Colorado River Basin states need to reduce their water use by between 2 million and 4 million acre-feet a year.
So we're looking at needing to remove every single year the water use of 10 Las Vegases from the Colorado River.
It was the wake-up call that led Vegas to take action. By 2024, golf courses will have to cut their water use by more than a third. And any new ones won't have access to the Colorado River for irrigation. Another part of this huge effort is getting rid of wasteful grass.
Since the early 2000s, we've been incentivizing the removal of turf.
The difference now is that the state is taking a tougher approach. A new law says commercial property owners in the Las Vegas Valley have until 2027 to get rid of turf landscaping at offices, roundabouts, and entryways for housing developments. The Water Authority estimates this will save 9.5 billion gallons of water a year. That's more than 400 Bellagio fountains. Residents are allowed to have grass in their front or backyards, for now. But new homes can't have it anywhere on their property. Nevada is paying landowners $3 for every square foot of grass they remove. And Vegas spent $27 million on incentives in 2022 alone. Par 3 Landscape is one company making the most of the new laws.
We recycle 100% of our green waste, so all the grass that is taken out during these turf conversions will be turned into mulch.
Decorative rocks and native plants that don't need as much water will replace turf in this residential community in Henderson.
We started this about a year or two ago, realizing what we had to do, and we have like about a 10-mile loop that we had to deal with.
Nearly a third of the U.S. is experiencing drought, but not everyone is ready to get rid of their lawn just yet.
Grass is a very emotional subject for residents in our community. We live in a desert, and having the greenery is an amenity that everyone loves.
A well-manicured lawn and a white picket fence have been status symbols since the rise of the suburbs in the 1950s.
Starting the 1 1/2 horsepower air-cooled engine, she's off on the lawn mowing expedition.
By the early 2000s, this kind of grass spanned about 63,000 square miles, making it the largest irrigated crop in the country. NASA estimated there were 3 times more acres of lawns than corn. Nationwide, landscape irrigation accounts for 9 billion gallons of water a day. But this green grass isn't native to North America. So where did it all come from? In the 17th century, colonists wanted seeds to plant pastures for their livestock. Supply ships brought over what we now know as Bermuda grass and Kentucky bluegrass from Africa, Europe, and the Middle East. It wasn't until 2 centuries later that lawns started gaining traction. And even then, they were seen as a privilege reserved for the rich. The rise of golf in the late 1800s revolutionized the way Americans saw turf, with courses displaying acres and acres of it. Everyone wanted a little bit for themselves. And even though they look like fairy tale grasslands, these lawns are ecological dead zones that don't provide much habitat for wildlife. Today, it's farms like this that supply the sod. This is what it looks like in winter, when grass is just starting to grow. But by springtime, these vast green circles can be seen from space. Valley sods started with just 30 acres of turf in 2001. Now it's evolved into about 500 acres. And almost all of it is bound for the Las Vegas Valley. They're selling mostly to commercial properties, like schools, golf courses, and parks.
I don't think parks will become a thing of the past. Certainly residential turf is just pretty much going away.
They've been switching to grass species that require less watering and can withstand hotter temperatures.
We've tried our best to keep up with the demands of the climate and of the drought. Carapia has been the best one that we've found so far.
Workers mow the field up to 3 times a week and vacuum the grass clippings. Then they use this machine to cut and roll the turf. The Colorado River isn't the source of this water. Here it comes from aquifers that are fed by the surrounding mountains.
We're pumping water anywhere from 300 feet to 1,000 feet below ground.
And it's closely managed, so just the right amount is hitting the spots that need it.
Each new well, you usually have to go a little bit deeper, make adjustments over the years.
Back on patrol, Cameron is also noticing that things are changing.
I've been doing this job for a couple of years now, so while I patrol through areas, I see a lot of homeowners out here removing their non-functional, useless turf and replacing it with water-efficient landscape.
This is an example of a new community in Las Vegas, where there's no turf in sight.
They're not allowed to have any grass installed in the front yard, so as you can see, it's all desert landscape in this whole neighborhood.
And as drought continues to plague the Southwest, this might become the new normal for the all-American yard.